Hey, everybody.
Welcome to Trust Relations, the podcast.
I'm here with April, the founder of Trust Relations and the doyen of all things public relations.
And of course, we're joined by the wonderful Hamish, our marketing lead and expert in the space, who I like to call my marketing other half.
We're tackling some of the biggest topics in news and integrated marketing and learning from the mistakes that make headlines or sink brands.
So join us as we have a chat about what works, what doesn't, and what we have to say about all of it. Okay. Welcome to Trust Relations, the podcast, Hamish.
Thank you very much for having me, April. It's nice to be here. I feel like a special guest.
You're just special, but not a guest.
Yes, I've been called special many times before. I'm not sure that's always a good thing.
I think it's special.
Thank you. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm pretty good. It's a full-on winter here now, which I'm not appreciating after having left spring in Sydney.
Mind you, can I say, it was cold here yesterday. We went from having beautiful temperatures last week, about 80, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, to yesterday it being back to 53. So we really had a big swing. It was cool yesterday. It was not, I don't know what happened. Spring was here and then spring sprung a leak.
I'm sorry. That sucks. I did notice she had a sweater on today, which I thought was weird.
Yeah.
So it's cold.
My daughter's at a swimming carnival. She'll be having a lot of fun sitting out there today.
Oh, that sounds terrible. Well, it's 40 degrees here right now. It's not nice.
No. So the fire's roaring in the background. Have you got your hot chocolate or your cocoa, as you'd call it?
No, just a lot of decaf coffee over and over and tea. But I brought back Blue Magic tea from Australia. So, and then I discovered that I can buy it at Walmart because I already panicked about running out of Blue Magic tea.
Oh, damn it. That was my Christmas present to you.
I mean, you can
container of Blue Magic tea.
Whole carton.
No, a container.
Ooh. I love it.
In this economy where there's shortages, I wanted to look after you.
I appreciate that. It's very sweet.
All right. Should we dive in?
Let's do it. Let's talk about work. Or not work. Let's talk about marketing.
Let's talk about marketing.
Baby.
I was going to do that.
I know. I could hear it. All the good things and the bad things.
That should be our theme song.
Let's talk about marketing.
Let's talk about marketing. Let's talk about
marketing.
Okay.
Should we get into marketing conundrum first?
Yes, we should talk about marketing conundrum.
Do you want to share what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you do, April, when you have a client who's extremely risk averse and it's starting to hamper their marketing efforts and your campaign?
Oy vey. Send them balls in the mail. Just kidding.
Yes. Here's a horse's head.
I think
it's a tough question, isn't it?
It was fine. I don't know why. It was just appeared on your doorstep.
Yeah. It reminds me of that stick figure cartoon. Have you seen it? There was a meme that went round and there was a head floating with a pair of legs and another stick figure there holding a stick in his hand. And he goes, "Don't worry, I have your back."
Oh my God. Yeah. Such a perfect dad joke for Hamish.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Sorry.
But a bump.
Everybody.
So when a client is super risk averse, sometimes I feel like it's a psychology issue where there's something that they're afraid of and you can kind of counsel them through it depending on your bedside manner and your grasp of psychology. That takes a very specific skill set and talent depending on the person that you're working with and your relationship and your rapport and how much they respect you / how close you are and how much they're willing to listen to you. I find most of the time, I'm not going to say all the time, most of the time, risk-averse clients are driven by some psychological issue by the leader who's holding everyone up. So there's usually somebody that's afraid to make decisions. They're afraid to act too fast. They're afraid to make the wrong decision. It's like any series. They're insecure for some reason. They're perfectionists. They want to have all of their information before they make any decisions, which of course everybody knows is impossible because that's not how life works. And so it usually tends to be something like that. It's difficult to get around it without going to the source. Otherwise, you're just playing whack-a-mole and it's like, okay, let's
Mm.
fix this particular issue, but then it pops up somewhere else and then somewhere else and then somewhere else. So if that's a very tall order. If you're able to have that kind of a heart to heart with them and get to the bottom of it and give them encouragement and sort of be their cheerleader and, get them to feel more confident about what they're doing as it relates to what you're doing on the marketing side, that's the ideal. That is a very high ideal. So
Yeah.
that's like it can work, but it's a very high ideal. And it takes like constant checking in because obviously nobody just heals their psychology overnight, but it can get better over time depending on the relationship. Now, aside from that, let's say that's not possible, which it's not often, very infrequently is that possible. When it isn't possible, then I think you're looking at how do we give them parameters and baby steps within which they feel like they can move safely without it tapping into whatever piece of their psychology is preventing them from making big moves. So kind of break it down into like baby steps, baby step to the elevator, baby step
Yeah.
in the elevator, right? It's like, what about Bob? So that kind of a thing, if you can break it down. And then the other thing you have to do is CYA, CYA, CYA. Everything is in writing. All of the deadlines that you need them to meet are in writing. And then that way, if they aren't making any moves, you're able to say, hey, so per the timeline I outlined on X date that said we would get you this by this date, you would get back to us by this date, but you didn't get back to us until this other date.
So
So then everything got delayed.
accountability.
Yes.
Good tip.
Yeah.
And what about if you're dealing with the marketing manager who is just firing the bullets given to them by the owner, director, further up the
And
chain?
you don't have access to the owner director necessarily.
Mm.
Then you're on the same team, but you have to make sure that you are kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, understanding each other. You can't make them call their leadership on the carpet because they won't want to do that. But you can at least say, I understand the pressures that you're under. However, like we still need and kind of feed them what they need to do the same. So here's the accountability that we're going to hand to you. I know this isn't a you problem, but can you pass this along to get the input we need by XYZ date and then explain to them why these deadlines are important to meet the overarching deadline or the overarching goal.
I think that's good. I
Yeah.
think, look, basically what you're saying is it comes down to accountability at each
Mm,
touch point.
yeah.
And lack of accountability means lack of response.
And then I think you have to rise to the occasion and fill in whatever parts of the relationship they aren't filling. So if they aren't aggressive enough, you have to be over aggressive. So you kind of have to play the role of whatever they're not playing in addition to your own role.
Hmm.
So it's a lot of shape shifting that's required. It's a lot of like chameleon, like, oh, okay, well, I normally play this role, but in this relationship, they're not going to do this other character, which means I have to play both characters to fill in and be the thing they need me to be to make this a whole relationship or a whole dynamic.
Yep.
So it's a lot of like expanding yourself and extending and hopefully not overextending yourself, but sometimes overextending on occasion
Hmm.
and being what they need you to be in that scenario to accomplish results for both of you.
Good. I think that's a good summary or good approach, rather.
Okay, good. Have you
I think you've done well.
get your blessing?
Hmm. Yes. I- and I don't even think we need to put a bow on it, as we always say, because I think you were very succinct and you've done a good job.
What icing on the cake?
You've done well.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. So our campaign analysis of the day is about Mentos and its sustainability campaign, proving that raccoons are better at recycling. Only 32% of US consumers recycle, and proclaimed as a logical solution, Mentos spent over 40 hours training raccoons to do the duty instead.
Hmm. Yeah. Where do we
Mhm.
start with this one?
I mean, I love that. That was like the perfect intro. Just that. Mhm.
I'm just
Hamish
watching the
loves
video that
this.
they put in together of it,
Yeah. What do you
and
think? I
I don't like it.
got I got that from the. Okay. Can you describe for our listeners what happens in this video?
Ah, okay. So Mentos have done some market research, and they have found that about 75% of Gen Z, I think it was, identifying that they would more likely buy products which are recycled. Broader population, only 32% of Americans are doing any active recycling, which means that there's this huge disparity between what people see as right and how much people want to do what is right. So Mentos have decided that what they're going to do is train over 40 hours a bunch of raccoons to go and pick up discarded Mentos boxes, wrappers for, and there was a specific product. They've trained the raccoons, and which they've dubbed the Mentos Raccoon Recycling Task Force, to pick up Mentos Pure Fresh Gum containers, which are made in the US using 90% paperboard bottle. Now, that sounds great. The product is made mostly in the US. I get that's good for the parochial side of things and the bringing the
John's
industry
back.
back. Yep. But what they've done is say, we're just going to train the raccoons to pick up our trash because we recognize that either,
Hu- Humans are
we
trash.
yeah, well, there's many different ways to dissect this. That, that
We make
Mentos,
trash. Humans are trash. Raccoons are the hero.
yeah, so that's one angle. Another angle is consumers of Mentos products are just animals themselves and discard litter or trash all over, and they don't bother putting it in the bin. The raccoons are being trained to pick up discarded things. They're not being trained to go through the garbage and then put, oh, this should be over in the recycling. So they're basically saying that humans are just going to throw them around. And then thirdly, what it is saying is that raccoons, as you said, are the heroes and humans are the anti-hero.
Garbage.
So they've trained raccoons in California, and you can call them to come to your state or city to do the work for you. Now, that just sounds like a traveling circus.
Circus.
Yeah, where you bring in the raccoons and you throw around litter and they'll pick it up and everyone stands and claps. It's a marketing stunt, but
Send in raccoons. Where
yeah.
are raccoons?
Very much. They are clowns, the people who come up with this. Okay, that might be harsh. But I don't get it. I mean, they're saying raccoons can clean up for you. If you don't do it, we'll do it for you. But we'll only pick up Mentos stuff. So they could have gone and picked up a Mentos box that's lying next to a can of something that was left in the same spot. But the raccoons will ignore that because it's not something they've been trained to pick up. So they're
Yeah.
not actually improving the recycling efforts. They're not actually taking the garbage out of the trash and then putting it in the right thing. So all it is saying, we're very clever. We've trained raccoons by giving them expensive treats, they said. Now, also, if I'm not mistaken, I know raccoons are known for going through the garbage at the best of
They
times.
are. Yeah. They love
So
garbage.
I can see the synergy between we'll get them doing what they like and doing something good for it. However, are you just training them later to go through the trash and then throw everything else that they don't like out because they've been so accustomed to going to it? I don't think this works. I really think that this is just
I'm
a
imagining them
marketing
going and
stunt.
putting in the Mentos thing and then just like taking everything else.
Well, what happens when they stop being rewarded by humans?
Oh, God.
And so they're looking for other things. They're just going to keep going through the trash and throwing it outside, and then there's more litter on the ground. So
Mm.
I don't see how this is a really good idea. Yeah, sure. You can, I pledge to recycle and use the hashtag sweepstakes because that's makes sense. We're recycling sweepstakes. Like, because then you can go in the draw to win a themed task force merchandise, including a hat, t-shirt, or pin. Oh, yeah. That's what I can see a lot of Gen Zs wanting. I got a pin that says I'm a raccoon recycler.
I mean, the funniest part about this to me is that they're trying to raise awareness of their sustainability efforts, but it reads like all I'm thinking about is Mentos is garbage. Like
Yeah,
all I think about is that their containers are not that their product, but that their containers are creating
add
garbage.
to
So
the
now
landfill.
instead of just seeing what I used to see is like, oh, it's a package of Mentos. It's like, oh, it's a container of garbage.
Hmm.
It's a garbage receptacle thing. Like,
That humans can't have the decency to throw away themselves, so we'll bring in animals to do it for them
I
because
mean that
humans lazy. Instead
that
of
was
training
like
humans,
that was my
instead of
whole
training the humans
complaint.
to do
That was my whole complaint about Wally.
it. Yeah.
It was like
Ollie.
making humans out to be these
Mhm.
horrible, stupid garbage creatures. I was like, we're showing this to our kids. Like, what is this? It's like
Uh,
this is like a recipe for nihilism. This is horrible.
It is. It really is.
Wally. Like, I hate this.
Ollie.
Like, I can't watch this. So it's like I feel like this is in the same neighborhood. Like humans are too stupid to put their own garbage in there. So let's train
Hmm.
raccoon.
Look, figure out a way that the packaging could be biodegradable. So if it is left out, it disposes of itself. Or
Well, that would be
Cause Light.
interesting.
I
Yeah.
know Cause Light said that they're going to remove plastic rings from their packaging. They're getting rid of something. They're reducing their waste.
Mm,
So that's something which I can see as more sustainable. Bringing in
yep.
raccoons is not sustainable because they're
Yep.
not trained like every raccoon in America has been trained. And then you have to call them in, so they've turned it into a stunt, and therefore it's destined to be a short-term fix that people will forget about later,
Yeah.
and it won't actually move the needle at all. So I give this 0 raccoons out of 5.
I'm with you. Trash. Squarely in trash.
Yeah,
Actually
which is
it's funny.
ironic, isn't it?
It's funny because earlier in the day, somebody was mentioning on my team that they'd gone to this event in Las Vegas where Pepsi was going on and on about their sustainability play and how they're so sustainable. And she's like, then why do I still have to pull the pop tab off the can to save the dolphins? Like, shouldn't you fix that first?
There has to be a better way to protect hygiene or tampering that doesn't then affect landfill or animals.
So, but I think the bigger point here, if we're going to zoom out, in addition to this just being a colossal fail on the part of Mentos, I think that in general, if companies are going to be putting forward sustainability messaging, they need to do it really carefully because if their packaging isn't obviously sustainable, if there's not something really dramatic about what they're
Mm.
doing, I think they're going to be called on the carpet like this for it and they're going to be accused of greenwashing and it's like this isn't enough, you know? It looks trite, is that the right word? It looks
It's right.
fake.
Yeah,
Like
like,
yeah, it
yep.
looks like it looks like they just did it as a stunt and that they're not serious. And I think that it's going to actually hurt the brand more than help. So I'd say, tread very lightly and carefully if you're a brand that wants to put forward sustainability marketing messaging because you need to make sure your story doing and your storytelling are aligned.
Bingo. The one redeeming thing that they've not leaned into here, Mentos, is that they have packaging which is using 90% paperboard, which I'm guessing is great because it can be recycled. But what about using 90% recycled paper board
Right.
in the first place so that they're actually being more sustainable? And so, to your point, make sure the storytelling matches the doing and use
Yep.
products which are actually less harmful or which are
Yep.
minimizing the carbon footprint.
Yep.
If you're going to want to lean into this space, don't put your toe in the water and put your whole foot in and or start swimming. Don't just sit there waiting for someone to save you
Yep.
because this is not going to do it for them.
Agreed.
So,
I mean, I think that was the perfect ending to this perfect segment.
I think it was comprehensive.
Very well done, Hamish.
Oh, and thank you, April.
Round of
Well done to
applause.
you.
Round of applause. It was on a circle. Did you see
It
that?
was because it's a
Yeah.
round of applause.
Yeah, exactly. You're
Yeah.
welcome. All right. Shall we wrap it up?
Wrap it up.
Okay. Thank you, listeners. You can catch the show wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Now you have to remember something, everybody. You have to rate, share, and keep the show on the front of your podcast list so we can keep the good content coming your way.
And before we sign off, we can't forget about this week's offer code. Over to Hamish.
You love this part.
I do. It's my favorite.
Everybody, please visit the link in the show notes below and use the code TrustAnalysis19 for your chance to win a free trust analysis workshop for the first to enter. Now, it is getting competitive, so please make sure you are the first to enter. New clients qualify and terms and conditions apply. You can check out our webpage for a full rundown of the offer details. I'll see you next time, April, and I can't wait for everybody else to tune back in.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
He did it normally.
Yeah, see,
It's
I can.
happening.
It does happen.
Amazing. Scientist over the
What was that?
Can't wait to see you next time.
Yes. Were you trying to say that backwards or something?
It was satanic. I played it back.
Yes, we can't wait to see you. No, well, we can't wait for you to stream our show next
See,
time.
you can't do it either.
No, well, they can't see us.
My weirdest news from having returned from Australia is that somehow while I was gone, one of my cats, Alton, has figured out how to get back in the house from the pet porch without me letting him inside.
That's cool.
It's great.
By
I
the
wish
cat.
I'm really hoping all the cats will figure it out. It would save me a lot of door maintenance. And stop being a cat butler would be great.
Well, cat butler. There's a new title for you. Stevie Award winner and cat butler.
A cat and dog butler is what I am. So,
did I ever tell you that I once had a job in a bank, by the way? And then a lady walked in and asked me to check her balance. So I pushed her. Okay. Bye.
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 There we go. She did it. Very good.